Hello, today is February the 26th. It's 8:30 and I am coming to you to talk about the gap between being and doing. Okay, so I'm not holding the camera today, so it feels kind of weird. I just got back from, well, actually yesterday, I got back from my grandmother's 83rd birthday, and it was a little overwhelming for me because I live a kind of hermit life to be around a whole bunch of people. I used to be able to do that really well. I actually made a living out of it, but recently in the last few years, I haven't been so good at being in public. So I have a really small, tiny, let's do it like this. I have a tiny little circle and it works for me. So being with everyone was absolutely wonderful, but it was also very difficult for me to integrate, and that's why I'm not wearing makeup and I look a little foggy, but that's not why I'm here with you right now. The reason I'm here with you right now is because on the way back, I actually went back to my grandmother's house because she had a big huge party thrown by her kids. I went to my grandma's house. Let me see if I can get this to move a little lower. Went to my grandma's house and just talked to her and chatted, and I actually was able to record part of the stories that she was telling me so that I could share it with my younger cousins and for all of her broader family, because you know, with 13 kids, each of them having kids, which I am because she's my grandmother, and then us already having kids, like, you know, Joshua and Jake, and then those generations are already having children, so there's 4 generations alive. And she was alive at a time when, well, she was growing up at a time when we didn't have a lot of the comforts that we have now. She worked from sun up to sundown. She used an iron that had to be heated. She told me this, even though I saw it. She used an iron that had to be heated on either a wood burning stove or, you know, eventually then a normal stove that we are used to. She hand washed her 13 kids of clothes with the, I forgot what she called it in Spanish, but that scrubbing thing. And then eventually they got to where they had the washing machines that you would crank and turn. She made her children's clothes by hand, you know, so it was a lot of work in those days. And she grew up in a time where her grandmother, and she told me the story, you know, her grandmother lived in a mountain. I mean, they were indigenous Indians who lived in a mountain. So imagine their life from sun up to sundown. I mean, there was no electricity. But anyway, the reason I'm here with you today is because she said something, and she said a lot of things. But right now, the realization I'm having is she said at one point, and it kind of made me sad, she said, that life, and I'm not sure what her exact words were because they were in Spanish, but she said that life was better than the life I have now. And I'm not sure if she meant more simple or if she meant it was more meaningful, or that she was happier. I'm sort of filling in the blanks there. But what I realized just now, and I realized it just now, or else I would have put on makeup and probably put my hair in a ponytail, is that what she's talking about, and I'm filling in the blanks, so if I'm wrong, Mommy, and you're listening to this, then tell me. But she grew up at a time where she was doing a lot. And that doing, you know, to see the product of your labors gives you a lot of fulfillment. It gives you a lot of just purpose, you know, raising her children and it was hard work, but it was meaningful work. And because we have all of the creature comforts, I mean, I don't even have to literally go through the aisles of a grocery store to pick up my groceries. I can park, have someone put them in my car, and drive away. You know, we have dry cleaners and housekeepers and all these things that we didn't have back then. So it really pierced my heart in a really unexplainable way right now, because this is super raw, that she said that she enjoyed her life then more than she does now. And my hunch is a lot of people are feeling this and don't even know how to pinpoint it. So here's what I came up with. It's sticky. There's a gap between doing and being. So my gig is love being human, and I'm unfolding what that means. And I have been unfolding that meaning for 5 years. And it gets deeper and more beautiful, and artists like as it goes, which is fascinating. But what Mommy was talking about was all the work that she would do, the doing. And because we have so many creature comforts and so much leisure time now, we are actually in a gap between this doing and the schools and the organizations that are preparing us for this doing, because we've been prepared for manufacturing. We've been prepared for industry, for assembly line. Do as you're told. Sit in a desk for 8 hours. I don't know how long we sit at school. And now in an office setting. And raise your hand when you know the right answer. That's the doing. And we're in a gap now. And for a lot of us, we're sort of bridging that gap. And that's what my work is. Bridging the gap from the doing to the being, which is completely different. In the being, I have a second sticky, which is the last half of my talk. This is where you have an awareness of yourself. This is where you deepen your ability to connect to yourself and to others. This being is completely different than what we've had, not even a generation ago, in the doing. We don't know, or we're in a transition period from that doing to that being. As a matter of fact, if you look at the studies that show you what kinds of skills you're going to need in 2030, 2040, or the skills of the future, they aren't actually skills with your hands. They're all skills within. I think that's fascinating. So learning how to think, learning how to feel, learning how to connect, and learning how to collaborate are these inner skills. You might be able to hear David's stereo system because he's about to get home and come inside. So it's live. That's kind of what happens when you're live. Like, this is real life. David's coming home while I'm recording. I was both excited and sad about this. Excited because it's what I teach. Excited because it's what my people and I are learning together. Excited because I feel led to do this work. Sad because it's a tough time. Sad because we aren't prepared for this. The schools, the skills that are being, it's tough. I mean, imagine an organization that is built on hierarchy and order and authority and people, the right people doing what you're told to do. Then transitioning into a matrix organization where you have to influence without authority. I see that happening, and it's hard because it's not clear what your roles are. It's not clear what you're supposed to be doing. Which again, I'm fascinated that I have a hand in bridging the gap between doing and being. I'm waiting to see if David will come in here. And he might not, because he can hear me talking. And it's a different voice than I talk normally, so he probably will not come in here. Anyway, my train of thought has just been broken. That's what I'm here to tell you. If you have a sense for something missing or something more, either from your job or from your relationships or from the organization you work with, it's not that or them. And like I teach, the first thing that you do on this journey is you turn inward. So you take this little finger that you're pointing at somebody or something or someone. You curl it right back. Dive into your inner life. Tend to yourself. Nurture yourself. Get to know who you are, what you want, what you prefer, what kind of foods you like, what's your favorite color. Become intimate with your own experience. Noticing and distinguishing between you at that central sort of soul self and what the culture wants from you is the first step in that, and bridging that gap between this doing and this being. So David walked in and David walked out because you might have heard the door. That's all I've got to say for now on this. I'm really excited to have had this kind of like realization, to see my work within context of an actual experience and the experience of someone I absolutely love. So it gives me a little bit of more ganas, to keep doing this, because I know that it's important and it's going to help a lot of people. Even if you don't hear it from me, you'll eventually start hearing it from lots of thought leaders, and it'll come from different places and different people in your life, because it is the way that the world is moving towards. The technology that we have at our fingers, it's just inevitable. We are not going to go back to the days like my great-great-grandparents who lived in a mountain, didn't have electricity, didn't have washers and dryers and cars and, blow dryers to do this when you have straight hair. It's a different life. So we've got to prepare ourselves for this new life. To see this gap. Once you see the gap, that's like the first realization is, this used to be this way. It used to be doing, and now it's being. So how do I learn this being thing? I have to learn to think and feel and connect and collaborate. That's weird also, because my dissertation was on collaboration all those years ago. So I'm seeing a lot of threads weaving through my work all through my life, and that's kind of cool. But anyway, that's what I'm with you here for tonight, and it's 14 minutes in, so I'm always a big talker. Subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more, because I'm sure it'll continue to unfold as I keep going and listening and paying attention and reflecting back to you. Because someone asked me today, I was being interviewed, and someone asked me, why does someone need a coach? And I said, because they said, are you a life coach? I said, I really like to think of myself more as a teacher and a mentor. Sometimes a guide, but not always a coach. And I said, they might not need a life coach. Totally cool. But you need someone or something. You need to journal your thoughts into a piece of paper and then read them. You need some mirror, some reflection to help you see what can't be seen until you look at it. If you're lucky enough to have a best friend that can do that with you, or a buddy, or a group, a therapist, anybody. You don't need a life coach, but you do need another human being. Because one of the things that I believe is that we do go 2 by 2. This reflection. You need a compassionate witness to your experience. So, I'm happy if I can help be that for you. Or guide you to wherever that other thing is. So if you have thoughts on doing and being, you can go ahead and comment. Or you can subscribe and listen to my ramblings as I continue. Have a beautiful night. Sweet dreams.